Hey guys, Jake here. We're at Pear Tree Ranch and we're working with Buck. This is Buck and he's about to go home. He's been in training. We did some time over the summer and he was supposed to come in the fall, but with the hurricanes that happened, it just put it off. And so he's been back for a few months, and in this process, we found out that he had PSSM, which is a muscle disease, and it's just something that can come from in the breeding, and it can lead to tying up. And so in the process, that maybe helped explain at times where he had tension and problems getting along with the human, because there was clearly a lot of good training. And as we got his diet right, we've worked on an exercise program to again, all this is kind of denoted by a vet to coach us through that. We haven't had any problems since, and we've had a lot more relaxation and progress as we kind of got all those pieces put together. So that's kind of his backstory. So his owner's been here and riding him and having good success, so he's going to take him home and see how they go at home. In the past, Buck has had trouble trailer loading. Now, I just laid out the picture of the backstory. With quality training and the work that we've done, he has much better understanding of pressure and how to converse with a human. You would hope that this becomes simple. So why are we even bothering to film it? Well, what if he does have a problem? One, then it creates a learning, teachable moment and a shareable moment. But the conversation of the difference in, well, we know the horse is trained and has the ability to understand pressure. So what do we need to help him with if he doesn't want to go on and stay on easily? And that's different versus when a horse doesn't understand pressure, doesn't respond to pressure, doesn't yield, doesn't have confidence in the human. We have to fix all of that first, and then sometimes the trailer isn't really the issue. Okay, so it could be that the trailer really is a fear-based thing for him. Sorry to interrupt your video, but really quick, we want to make sure that you know all the juicy content, step-by-step how-to training guides, that's over on Patreon. So if you want, there's a 4-part trailer loading video series, that's on Patreon. You want the 7-part lead chain series, that's on Patreon. So get over there, get signed up, join us there, and let's get back to this video. I did all that yakking to give you backstory and perspective of where he's been and where we're going. However, that also gave him time to be here and hang out by the trailer. So I didn't just walk up here and say, get on. If he can walk right up here, like you couldn't hardly lead this horse within 20 feet of the trailer before he was pulling back when he first came to his owner. And so already we're winning. But by just coming up here and listening to him, how does he feel? Well, he's happy to stand here by the trailer. He's happy to eat grass. He's taking deep breaths. All of these are pointing towards how he feels before I ever ask him to tell me how he feels about stepping in the trailer. Okay, so I'm going to just line him up where he can look. And he went, okay, which is good. See, he's looking some more. And this is curiosity. Curiosity leads to confidence. And if I allow him time and curiosity, it will start to create draw into the trailer versus the stick having to be drive. Okay, so I'm allowing the hot lava to be over here. So there can be more draw over here. Yeah. Now, I've done a trailer loading session with Buck before to help prepare him to come up here. He lives over towards Tampa, so just a few hour drive away. that little pull on that halter would have been 100 feet that way, in the past. And that's where, to me, there is honest worry about the trailer, but because of the training and things that we've done, it's easy to have a conversation about the trailer where we allow him to change his mind, right? He needs to change his mind about the trailer and what he thinks. Now, if I was just going to load and go, I would walk up and walk in the trailer. But because this has the potential to be a teachable moment, a shareable moment for all of you, I'm going to stand here and allow him to tell me when he's ready to go in before I lead him up in there by kind of playing at a little bit of hot lava till he kind of takes me in the trailer. There. That way I don't just lead him up in there and load him purely off of obedience. Of him following me in there. I give him a moment to kind of choose again to take himself up and in there. And that helps create a longer term re-education about the trailer and how it feels. And notice, I'm not having to tap him hard. I'm just barely laying that string on him and allowing him to work. Anytime he puts a little nose slip to this point on the halter, see, he's hardly pulling on me there. Good job. Which in the past, just you couldn't hold this horse. He spent the first couple of months in training here having to learn just to give to that stuff. Okay, where I had to wrap the rope right hard to the fence, where he had to learn he couldn't pull me. And when we get really good at just taking the time here to play this game of, he can come out as many times as he wants. I don't have a problem with that. That's how I take care of him mentally and emotionally, is allow him to do this approach and retreat. That's the approach. This is the retreat. And he needs to be allowed to do that for his own self. And he'll tell me when he's ready to stay. This is how I create a longer term change. There, see? He chose. I didn't do anything to initiate him staying there. I just had to be patient for him to feel like he could choose it. And that's the difference in, I'm not having to do any fixing of, stop pulling on me, stop fussing at the stick, okay, get off the pressure. All that's working. Now we're genuinely just helping his confidence with the trailer Would you spook at your own foot in the shavings? Good boy. And that will help him with his long-term trailer loading. Have a chilly morning here in Florida early. Activate heated vest mode. Huh. So now that we've done enough reps here that he can choose to go in there, he's chosen to stay this long. I'm going to invite him out with the super secret cue. Now I might start thinking about inviting him to come with me. Hi. You are a good horse. You are. Kiss your nose. So right here, the halter is coming taut to encourage him to consider stopping the backup, which he did. And then I invited him to step back up here. Here, the halter just came taut, and I'm just holding it, okay? I'm not doing anything hard to have that happen, but I want to see. And if he were to keep backing, I'm not going to hard try to stop him. That makes him throw his head and bang it on the roof. Like, it just doesn't help, okay? But if I can feel a little bit there, and he can consider stopping, well, then maybe a little bit, and he can come back up. So we're doing the same approach and retreat, so I can take this time to help him feel safe and comfortable in here. Because see, it's not about pressure. He understands the pressure. So now I was able to say, just stay. Okay? Just a little bit longer. Right? Dirty Dancing. Oh, won't you stay? Come on up here. I know, but you're in the lava over there. You're in the lava over there. pressure over there. And he's allowed to think those things. But this is how we change his mind for the long run. And we haven't done trailer loading because I knew Al would have his trailer here, that we could just take this time with his trailer. See, and it's different. If he wants to have that last ditch, pull and fuss, let me know how that works for you, big boy. Let me know how that works for you, big boy. Yeah. And I'm just watching the quivering of his muscles over his hindquarters right here. Just wait for that kind of adrenaline dump that he's thinking he needs. There's a nice big lick and chew. And I'm just blocking here because I don't need him slinging his head and shooting through here and mucking me out. No, you can go backwards if you want to go. Yeah. You bumped your own nose there, silly. Yeah. And then he's starting to look for food. Now he's starting to look for food. More pooping. Oh, that's a sign of he's changing again. If he starts looking for food in here, he's stopped worrying about safety and comfort. Huh, big boy. No, keep that nose. You put your nose back over there. You put your nose back over there. Well, wasn't nice. You put your nose back. But this is simple stuff, in my opinion, we're just taking time, we're just spending time with him versus putting pressure. And he pulled and fussed a little bit. Am I surprised? No, but the difference is we stayed right here. I'm on the 12-foot line. The 22 is sitting there on the ground. Right? I came ready. I got a long shushy stick ready. Like, see how I gave him a little feel? And I'm not going to try to hold him hard. I can maintain the same amount of pressure on that rope as I let it slide. He's going to go through this same process on his own once I shut the butt, divider. He's going to push on that and start going, oh, no, I'm stuck. He's going to have that on his own. But if I allow it to stay open and I stay here through the process with him, he has the potential, in my personal opinion, to change his mind a little bit more, right? I participated with him versus just shutting him in here and going, well, figure it out, son. And he will. He'll be just fine. But this is how I make a longer term good deal for him. You're a cuddle baby now? There, see, now I had the opportunity to invite him. And see, when I invited him back, he chose to stay. I didn't do anything to stop him. So I invited him back, and he backed, and I stopped backing, and he stopped backing. He didn't keep taking me all the way out there. Which for me means he's participating with me, and he's like, well, you're not backing me. I don't need to keep backing, right? Because he's not backing to get out of the trailer. He was backing because I invited him to do that behavior. There. Same with forward to come up in here. He came as I invited him, and now he's here. And I'm not having to really work on blocking him to say, stop trying to turn around. He's just, for his most part, kind of staying there. And I gave him room. Like, I let him put his head there, and that could get dangerous. Like, you saw him not long ago. He got halfway turned, and I had to get in here and, hey, we're not doing that. You get yourself in trouble doing that. But I'm okay to roll that dice. Yeah, much bigger lick and chew. Now, the muscles have stopped kind of quivering. He's starting to kind of settle into here. See, he's like, I was eating my breakfast in my pen over there. There's no hay up in here. What a great opportunity. So now that he's kind of chosen to stay, I'll flirt with, how do I prep this? So I pull that rope through. No, you got to start thinking about staying up in here. I'm going to have it where he can get his nose low enough to eat his hay. But not so low that he's kind of getting in trouble there. Okay, Jenna, go grab an armful of his flake of hay that's sitting right there, please. I'm going to put this down. We'll bring this hay over here, and I'll just put some hay in there for him. So like I said, once that changes, he's going to go through his own process. So he's pawing, but see, he's also blowing out. Okay, just bring it right on up here. Ooh, the sun's bright off of that trailer. So I'm not gonna dilly-dally long where he could think out that window. And I'm gonna toss some hay so he can choose it if he wants it. And then I'm just gonna hang out. Awareness, understanding, doing, reproducing, teaching. So I'm gonna give myself time to have awareness of what more does he need from me, because he's pulling his foot, but he's blowing out. He's pushing his nose on the window. And I would wait for him to, there's licking and chewing. I would wait for him to start to settle. And once he does, I'd unload and reload. Now, if it was my horse and I was needing to go somewhere, I'd just go, because I'm not fretted about my ability to then reload him at a later date and just give him time and reps. Hi. But this horse, even when you tie him, like on the wash rack, or just walking back and forth by his pen, he talks a lot. He sees you come in and he's kind of tied by himself in the wash rack. He doesn't fuss like this. Hey, I can interrupt that. So you don't need to do that. But he'll call to you. Hey, you don't need to do that. Yeah, you don't need to be pawing like that. Boop. There, now it stayed different. Because he got curious, he's doing this with his nose in there. But see, now he's just kind of staring out the window and he's paying attention to me, that I'm here and I'm with him. Boop. But the RPMs are coming down. He's considering something different. Hey. So now, because of how I've loaded him, I have this feel where I can keep him forward. See, my steady pressure, I have a little bit of a leverage point to keep him forward. You got to wait for me. There. And he's waited. 3, 2, 1. Come on out. There. And he just backed a little bit and then he just stopped himself. There. So that's a change. No. There, see? So he's not rushing off. That's a change. He just is used to, his pattern is, I get shut in here and I'm freaked out. But I'm like, are you really freaked out? Are you? And he's like, yeah, maybe? Right? He's just doing an old pattern. Because look, he's not going anywhere. If he was really bothered, he'd be shooting out of here. He's just executing an old pattern. Get shut in means be bothered. But we've changed his mind because this is like, well, that's not normal. That's not normal. So now we just get a chance to practice the get led forward and tied part. I didn't need to practice the go all the way out part. Because he didn't need to come all the way out. He would have said so by going all the way out. There he starts. Okay. So it's just boop. There's a common thing that I'll feel the need to say to people. Their horse will be bothered and they'll say, "You're fine. It's okay." Boop. I'm using the boop to denote I'm not bopping or powing him. Just toe my boot, just boop, touching it lightly, just to interrupt his pattern. It startles him a little, just enough that it gets his attention on me and what I'm doing versus thinking about pawing. Okay. So I'll see people, they're on their horse and their horse is bothered and they're telling them, "It's fine, you're fine. It's okay. The horse just told you they're not okay." Boop. They just told you they're not okay and they're not fine. Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Why are you telling them something different? Instead, and we understand why people do that, or I do anyway. They're trying to help the horse feel better by consoling them. Happens the same thing, right? I coach little boy baseball with Johnny. Little boy gets whacked with a ball or falls and, bumps his knee or whatever, and they're crying and they're hurt. I don't go up to them and say, "You're fine. Boys don't cry. Knock it off." I don't say that. So what good is that? That's not helpful. Same as telling a horse that's not okay that they're okay or they're fine. That just means that we're not hearing them or being understanding. So that we don't really understand them. Therefore, are we really worthy of a quality relationship? How about instead, what if we considered the idea of I hear that you're upset. I see that you are hurt. That, to me, communicates understanding. We understand where they're at. Ah, I hear you, Buck. You are bothered tied in this trailer. However, let's try a different thing. Okay? Instead of telling little boys, boys don't cry. What if we could have an honest conversation? Is crying going to make it better? Is crying going to make it better? Versus what can we do to make it better? Let's put some ice on it. Let's have a hug. Need me to kiss it and make it better? What are some positive things that we can choose to do to create change? This relates to my saying, if you got time to yell, oh crap, you had time to do something productive. Okay? So him just sitting in here going, ah, isn't making it better. But he is communicating that he is not comfortable. And so instead of trying to tell him just to be different, we can say, I hear you. I understand. You are bothered. But by interrupting his pawing and then doing something positive, I'm rubbing him, looking him in his eye, I'm listening to him, I hear him being more quiet. He's observing life out the window and realizing he kind of knows where he is and what's going on potentially. We're finding more safety and comfort here, just like the little boys with the baseball. You're allowed to just sit here and need to cry and be held for a minute. Yes, it hurts. That baseball just whacked you in the lip. It's going to hurt for a minute. I can't fix that, but I can be here with you until it stops hurting, which will be in a minute. Just give it a minute. It'll stop hurting in a minute. This is not going to hurt forever. And the difference then, they learn to do healthy behaviors. Okay. Versus if we go down that rabbit hole of men that were told boys don't cry, and now we stifle feelings, we don't communicate, we are poor in relationships. That's just a whole another conversation. Okay, that's not helpful. Versus knowing how to be heard, communicate about feelings, emotions, and such. So I didn't need to tell him he's fine to knock it off or quit it. I could interrupt his pattern, get his attention, just like a little boy that's stuck. Okay, hang on. Right here, look at me. I hear you. This hurts. What can we do to make it better? Now you get them out of the just loop of it hurts and they're not communicating or hearing anything. Okay? Same with the horse. So I gave him a boop. Could tap his butt, do something to just interrupt the behavior just long enough that I could insert another option. Hey, how about I rub your butt? Good. Okay. So just some wanted to paint the picture of the difference in now this horse doesn't need help with the training of getting in and out. He can get in and out. He, however, needed some support from me today about feeling safe and comfortable in here to where he can have a more quality experience trailering home and be prepared for future trailering experiences, because I didn't just shut the door and go, you'll be okay, you'll be fine, it's okay, when he's not okay. And with that little bit extra time now, we've helped set this horse up for the long term versus accidentally telling him, we don't care about your feelings, suck it up. Right? Which we can accidentally communicate when we use the you're fine when they're not. Okay? It's just something I think about so I can be a better leader and supporter for these horses, just like sharing my experience and trying to figure out how can I be better for my son and other little, boys that we support as a mentor or coach with the baseball. All right. Well, he's in and he is going home. So we're going to allow him to just stay, finish packing up, and send him on his way. I hope this gave you, again, just another look at things I think about and how I would apply those thoughts to be supportive of a horse. And don't forget, we've got the whole trailer loading series on how we would help work on using all the different try lines, fear lines, encouragement or spank line, and confidence lines to get a horse to build up to choose going in the trailer. And when we can apply all of that, again, these horses very quickly learn to choose the trailer as comfort versus pressure. Okay, I'm Jake. This is Buck for Pear Tree Ranch, and we'll see you next time.